Hello, and welcome to episode 33 of Missed Mando, Ontario's source for the latest in the disc golf world. I'm your host, Robbie Holden, joined as always by my friend and co-host, Sean Galbraith. Shawnee G, how you doing, and what you been up to since our last episode?
Doing great, Robbie. Was out at Project 15 playing the P15 Open age protected day on Monday, and I am absolutely exhausted and wrecked from playing that. It was super fun. I came into the tournament as always rated down near the bottom of the ratings for my division, second last, and came in tied for second last place, but played above my rating both rounds. So that was a nice win. It was a great time in fairly miserable weather, super windy, super rainy. But what are you going to do? It was an awesome tournament at Ontario's top rated course. It was awesome. How about you?
I also got to play in the P15 Open. Just always amazing being out there at P15. Voted number one in my course vote last year for a reason. I also got to play in the Stones Throw Spring Open, just sort of a last minute addition to my tournament calendar. I wasn't going to play in it until like 3 days before the tournament, and there was an MA1 dropout, so I could get in. So decided to make the trip up there, which was always fun. Didn't play that great, but I love going up to Stones Throw. The Spring Open is always the wettest tournament you'll ever play. It wasn't as bad this year as it was last year. Last year was without a doubt the wettest ground maybe I've ever even stood on, let alone played disc golf on. It was something else. This year was definitely a lot better than that. Though still a couple areas that are very, very soggy, or just downright you're going to have to putt from a couple puddles somewhere sometimes. But that's just what it is at Stones Throw in the spring. Still love getting out there. It's a good community that they have there and a really fun course. And then, of course, P15 to top it off. I actually Stones Throw Open was on Spring Open was on a Saturday. I went out and played Project 15 on the Sunday for a practice round on the most beautiful day, and it was like zero wind. It got up to like 18 degrees. I was out there in shorts. It was incredible, and then actually got some pretty good weather for the P15 Open as well, where I was in shorts for round two. And the wind was definitely up a little bit, but not that bad, manageable. Didn't play all that great, especially in round one. Round two, I actually played really well. Shot the MA1 hot round, but played so bad in round one that it didn't matter. I only ended up in 8th place, although only 3 strokes out of a podium spot, which would have qualified me for provincials. So unfortunately, still looking for that qualification spot, but got a couple more opportunities coming up soon that I can't wait to get to. But Shawnee G, how about we get into the rest of the show? And we've got a lot to get to in this show. We've got some tournament breakdowns locally and on the Pro Tour, as well as a preview of the upcoming Champions Cup, the first PDGA major of the year. But first, we are going to send it over to our feature interview for this episode, and we are very excited to welcome to the show Alex Poletto, fresh off of her second win of the season at the Project 15 Open. And we'll be right back on Missed Mando with Alex. Our next guest joined the PDGA in 2022 and went pro in 2023 after a dominant season in FA1, where she collected 4 wins and finished second in the other 3 tournaments she played. She collected her first pro win that same year as well at the Diameter Open, and has won an additional 3 tournaments since, including 2 already this season, the Toronto Open and most recently the Project 15 Open. It's a pleasure to welcome to the Missed Mando podcast from Toronto, Ontario, Alex Poletto. Alex, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. It's always nice to hear your accomplishments out loud. Make me sound better than I am.
I always love doing a little bit of a deep dive into the track record for a nice opening statement. So it's good to take you down memory lane. And as I mentioned, you only joined the PDGA in 2022. So as we like to do with new guests on the show, let's take things back to the start of your disc golf journey. When and how did you originally find the sport? Was it in 2022, or had you already played it in the past before?
Yeah, it was 2022. I started and then started competing probably a month in. I am purely in this for the competition. No, I'm kidding. But I was a former volleyball player, and when things were shutting down, Chris, my partner, was also a volleyball player. He stumbled upon the Beaches disc golf course, which you'd think, being a beach volleyball player, playing there literally every day since I was 15, you'd think I'd noticed disc golf before in my lifetime, but not once. I walked past it from the parking lot probably every day on the way to practice, and I didn't even see the basket. Like, I probably walked past league. No idea. But Chris was introduced when we took a break from volleyball, and then I was dragged into it. And I think we practiced here and there for the winter of the 2022, and then immediately signed up for Winter Thaw in March of 2022, and got a rude awakening of disc golf competition. But then I dove in headfirst and signed up for every single possible tournament I could do.
Let's see here. So that very first tournament of yours, though, you said the Winter Thaw. So let's see here. How did you do at the Winter Thaw?
Oh boy.
So you finished 4th out of 4. So a solid showing. You had, there was no rating because I guess you weren't even a PDGA member yet. Like that is bold to just jump straight in. I mean, absolutely love that. And then in 2023, you go pro. Was there any moment that you remember when it's like, you know what? It's the time to go pro. But you know, put aside, you had this great FA1 run. You could have kept going in FA1 a little longer, but you're like, I want to make some cash. Let's go.
Exactly. You know, I think it's just the competitive nature in me. I want to play at the highest level I possibly can. And I got to the point where I felt like I could win in FA1 if majority of the time I had the chance to. I knew I had the ability to win, whereas in FPO I knew I didn't, and I wanted that challenge. It was, you're aspiring to achieve something that you think might not be possible, so I thought that was the time. And I mean, winning money is always nice. I mean, there's only so many discs you can have. So it was a tough decision. I think I wanted to stay in my comfort zone of FA1, but it's always good to push yourself, and that's how you continue to grow.
And I'd say that you lived up to the challenge pretty well. You played 6 events in that first year, and outside of a DNF at Brawny Creek, you finished on the podium in every single event, including your first B-tier win at the Diameter Open. Then you followed it up in 2024 with 7 more events, adding another win at Christie Lake, and which gave you an average finish of 3.1 in your first 13 pro events, excluding 2 DNFs. Looking back, how do you assess the success of your first 2 seasons playing in FPO?
Oh boy. I mean, I'm proud of myself. I think I exceeded my expectations. My goal last year, which was really my first true full FPO season, was to make it to lead card in every tournament. Whether or not you stayed in the top 4 is another thing, but I just wanted to make it to the lead card for that second or third round of the tournament. And I think I achieved that in every tournament other than... Actually, it might have been every tournament. Oh, other than provincials? I don't remember. But anyways, that was my goal, and that helped me stay focused on just the process and not worried about results. I didn't really care about my rating. I didn't care about prize money or anything. It was just, let's play at least one good round to get to that top, and then whatever happens, happens. But I'm pretty proud of myself. I think I've continued to grow, and the nice thing about playing in a division where you feel like you're playing up is you're always learning from other people. So I feel like I've picked up on a lot of skills every single tournament. It's almost like I'm getting better every time because I'm learning so much from all of my card mates. So yeah, it's been very positive overall.
Looking at this year, you started with a fourth at the King's Forest Open on Saturday, and then you did a little come from behind home win at the Toronto Open on the Sunday. Was King's Forest basically like a good little warm up coming out of winter to lead into the win at Scarlet Woods?
Yeah, I mean, I have high hopes for Kings, but I found every single OB on the course. I'm not
There's
joking.
a lot of
there's a lot of OB, and I think I found probably 13 holes I was OB on. So, it was definitely a warm up. I mean, the winter was pretty wintry here in Canada, so didn't play as much as I had in the past few winters. So I didn't necessarily feel like I was coming out of winter prepared or better like I have in the past. So it was kind of, King's Forest was, let's just go in, get the tournaments rolling, feel it out, try to play well. You know, had other plans, but that's okay. And then, yeah, Toronto Open was, I started to see the glimpses of myself again. It was still not pretty and by any means, but there were glimpses of, yeah, that's how I used to throw, or like, that's how I putt. Now I remember how it feels. But it was so, King's Forest felt very foreign. Like I didn't know what I was doing again. You kind of get that creeping thought of like, will I ever be as good as I was last year? This is terrible. But it's come back.
So speaking of winter, we had more snow than we've had in years, even in Toronto. Very much unlike last winter when it was like shorts and t-shirts in February. What did your off season look like for you this year, and what were some of the things that you were working on? Did you even touch a disc, or is winter still practice season?
Yeah, I mean, East End Putting League was my outlet for disc golf pretty much. And I'm thankful for that because even now there are some shots. I remember at White Spruce tournament, I had to do this insane around a tree shot, and it felt like I could barely see the basket. And I'm like, this is hole 3 on Heather's course. I can picture it. So it was very helpful, but in terms of throwing, not so much. Unfortunately, Lynbrook was my go-to winter course. I loved going to league there, and yeah, sadly, RIP to Lynbrook this year. So really, it was hard to get out. I don't think I played very much, and I don't regret it though, because I think you need a break at some point, and the season is so long, especially if you do want to play so many tournaments, that it's nice to have a break that's fully separate with. You're not just dragging on a little bit of disc golf, a little bit of disc golf. So sometimes a cold break, focus on something completely different is I think beneficial. So I was focused mainly on just strength training, and I really enjoy strength training and improving myself that way. So I was doing a lot of that, kind of tailored my workouts to be disc golf oriented. And then we got really big into rock climbing, so I was focused on that and just improving in different ways.
I totally agree with that. I don't think I picked up a disc for like 3 months, and then going into this tournament season, I feel like just like revitalized. Like I'm just amped to get back out and play even more than I was last year. And as somebody that plays a lot of tournaments, definitely the burnout definitely tends to wear on at the end of the year. So it was definitely a nice break. But going back to the Toronto Open, going into the second round, you were in fourth, but only 4 strokes behind. And then you had more birdies in round 2 than anybody else had in both rounds combined to come from behind for the win. So what was the difference between rounds that unlocked that higher level of play in the final round for you?
That's a cool stat. I didn't know that. But honestly, I don't think I changed anything. It just started clicking. Like it was that rust coming off. Feeling a little more confident on your putting and your throwing and not overthinking it so much. Sometimes when you have this rust buildup, you have such expectations on how the shot should come out. Fortunately with Scarlet, you have a little bit more airspace to play with. So I wasn't too concerned about hitting a line or anything. I'm like, just be confident, throw, see what happens. And it worked in my favor for sure. But truthfully, I really didn't feel myself still. Like my putts felt super shaky and, I was unsure of what was going to happen when the disc left my hand. So, I tried to play free, but it like you can't have expectations when you're not tuned up. So.
Well, I'd say it worked out pretty well in the end. And like you said, KFO being a nice, good sort of warm-up round on fairly similar courses, both being on golf courses with some open bomber shots. I think
Scarlet doesn't have that OB that King's Forest has.
That's true. That is true. What was the weather like on both days? Because I was there on Saturday at Kings and was not great. We had a long weather delay in round 1. Was it the same for you at Scarlet Woods as well? Was it any better at all?
I mean, it was better in the fact that the moments of good weather were really sunny, but then the moments of bad were way worse than they were at Kings. Like it was torrential downpour for a solid 20 minutes, and then it would clear out, be a beautiful sunny day, and then you have another downpour. So, it wasn't any better.
So I'm imagining by the end of the tournament on Sunday, you were ready to just kick back and not play disc golf for a couple of days at least after 2 days. And
exactly, I thought to myself, do I really want to play that many tournaments after this? But once the spring weather comes out, it's like a whole new person. You get so revitalized and ready to go.
Yep. So now that you've played a bunch of FPO tournaments over the last 3 years, what do you see as your, competitive strengths compared to your competitors in the FPO field?
I think I have a good ability to control my distance with accuracy. I feel pretty confident on a course like P15 or Christie Lakes where you have to throw far but in a narrow fairway. I like throwing drivers down tunnels. So I think that's one advantage. And I also think I have a pretty strong mental game when it comes to high pressure situations. I'm definitely very nervous still throughout the tournament, but I think when it's a clutch moment, I find myself pretty confident that I will hit the putt or hit the line that I'm looking for. It's honestly the situations when there isn't pressure that I'm worse at. So, yeah, I think those would be my advantages.
Nice advantages to have.
They help sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. And they definitely helped you take down your second win of the season, the Project 15 Open this past weekend. How do you like the course after finishing 7th at the event last year? Was the game plan, did you have a game plan going into the event this year, and how was it different from last year?
Yeah, that's 7th out of 7. forgot to mention.
Don't need to know that. Don't need.
Yeah, it was the same mindset actually. Last year, I went in pretty confident, thinking like, "Oh, I can do well in this course. I've shot really well in practices there. I felt like that was the tournament for me to succeed at." But I went in with such high expectations, and it was my first tournament last year. So I thought I'm going to come so hot off the winter, just crush this tournament. And that was a horrible mindset to come in with, because I was just so sure of the results that I didn't wait for them to happen. I was just disappointed when they kept happening, and it wasn't what I expected. So this year, I've already had a few tournaments under my belt, so I felt more relaxed, and I thought I could do well. My goal was to come top 4, but I didn't have an expectation, because there's still that early season rust. And I have a whole new set of discs in my bag, so I was just, let's go have fun. Really enjoyed that my card mate, since we had such a great group of ladies out to this tournament, and try to work on some new techniques that I was playing around with. So worked out in my favor, but definitely completely different mindsets.
What new techniques were you working on, or were you busting out?
I was really focused on my pull through being like reaching out further away from my body. In my pull through, I think in longer rounds, I get tired and I start rounding a lot. So I was really consciously thinking about where my arm was going on the pull through. And rather than just the release angle, I always focus on where to release it at, but now it was where to pull back. So that was a change, and it helped a lot. And then my putting was really focusing on slow arm, fast hand. It's something that clicked for me in my putting practice this week. And I don't know, it changed my life a little bit in this tournament. So it was just slowing my backs swing from my arm slower. And then when I release, it's not a fast arm out. It's just a same speed out, but fast hand to release the disc to create the spin. I found that I was missing a lot to the right of the basket, and I couldn't understand why. I'm aiming right at it. Like, why is it always going to the right? And I think it's when I'm nervous or not super focused, my arm speeds up to create that spin and distance, which happens to just go a little bit too far past the center of the basket, and then I end up right. So the slow arm, fast hand was a game changer for me.
I like that. I'm going to have to say that I will try that and practice at all and wonder why nothing changes. You mentioned that you've got a bag full of new discs this year. Why is that?
Yeah, I joined Team Innova this year, which is very, very exciting. How
did that come about?
I reached out through Daryl Banks. He's ambassador with Innova, and asked are they looking for any new FPO ladies to join their team, and he connected me to the heads there, and one thing after another. It was a quick process, but I was really, really happy to join the team, and it's very exciting to actually have discs that are for a specific slot in your bag, and you get to pick them and curate your bag. For the longest time, I was just taking whatever Chris didn't want, or whatever I won at a tournament from 2 years ago. So it is nice to think about what you actually want to throw and test out a bunch and then pick your favorites. And yeah, it's been a treat to be part of the team for sure.
Do a little mini in the bag. What are some of your new discoveries, or like discs that you hadn't really had exposure to before, that are like, oh, this is money, this is in the bag for sure? And what are some that are like, these are never leaving the bag, these are my must-have, my go-tos?
Well, the go-tos that I've had, I didn't even have to order them because I already had them, were my T-Birds. They're in there for every purpose. And then Wraiths and Destroyers, and one new addition that I love and I was very impressed with was the Invader. It's such a good disc. I used it a lot this weekend at P15. It's just super glidey, so straight. It feels like it gives you room for error. It just makes up for your little touchy mistakes. And then I've added a few new discs. The Aviator 3 was surprising. I thought I was unsure about it, and then I used it a lot at P15, and I really enjoyed it. Very reliable. And what else have I added? The J. Turns out I really enjoy the J. I had it for a while. I just never threw it, so I started throwing it, and it's pretty solid. It has really good glide. A little bit of finish at the end, and then I've had rocks in my bag for a while, so those are pretty reliable for me. Like, you can put any angle on them, and you know how far they're gonna go, how they're gonna glide. They're not gonna turn over or do anything crazy. So,
if you could pick a Tour Series disc, an Alex Poletto Tour Series disc, which mold would you want it to be?
Good question. Probably. I actually really like the pig, and I use it for all of my forehand upshots. But and then saying that Alexandra Poletto pig is not not the nicest disc name. Maybe a T-Bird. It's just it was actually the first disc I ever bought when I started playing disc golf. Like, 1 out of 3 discs I ever bought in my life. And I would recommend it to anyone. It's just a disc that anyone can throw.
One thing that we always like to ask people when we have them on the show is preferences about course styles and what your preferences are. Are you into more of wood style golf? Do you like more park open? You have wins on both styles, with Christie Lake and P15 being in the woods and Toronto Open being a more open golf course style, of course. So where do you find your preferences?
That out. For the longest time, I thought that I was going to be better at the more open golf course style because I could throw farther than most of my competitors, but I really don't know if I actually perform the best there because I overthink a lot of the angles. Like, you have endless angle options with the open course. So I really overthink it a lot. So sometimes when you have that narrow fairway lined with trees, you know exactly how you should throw it. There aren't as many options for discs you can throw. You know it's exactly this disc. This is how I'm going to release it. This is where my feet should be lined up. It kind of narrows the possibilities. So, I mean, I'm open to both. I'm still figuring it out, but I think the most fun and rewarding to play are those wooded long fairways, the Christie Lakes, the P15. I think getting birdies on those style of courses is so rewarding, and you feel really good about saving par on those courses versus the wide open hyzer shot around a tree. There's just more expectations.
So how far can you throw, would you say? Like, are you on a good rip? What is sort of your max distance these days?
I have no idea because when I measure in practice, it's nowhere close to where I think it is in tournaments. There has that extra juice. So sometimes in tournaments, I'll look up on UDisc like, oh, this was a far one, and I can get close to 400. But in practice, I'm always stuck at that 370 range. So, depends on the juices and the excitement and, the win and all that stuff. But the goal is to be able to crack 400 consistently, for sure.
A solid goal, and it sounds like you're well on your way to it.
Mm-hmm.
Looking ahead to this season, you're currently signed up for, I think, 6 tournaments. Are there any that you are more excited to play compared to others, or any can't miss events Are there any more that you're looking to register for? Are you going to, pick up any more, or just sort of be a little more selective and play specific ones?
Sure. I mean, Christy, I'm very excited to go back. Foxwood, I think April has the best tournaments. You have P15 Christie and Foxwood. Well, April, May, I guess. And it's just the coming out of winter, if the sun starts shining. Once you get to Foxwood, you'll start wearing shorts. Like, it's just that feeling of excitement that summer's here. So definitely excited for those. Nationals will be a great experience, I'm sure. And I'm very excited to play on all those courses. They're some of my favorite in Ontario. And then I think I'm going to sign up for some more in July and August. I just haven't finalized it. It's August and July tournaments are tough because they're usually full weekend tournaments, especially August. They tend to be those 3-day A tiers. But I'll probably pick, one or two of those. I was hoping to make it down to a Pro Tour event, my first Pro Tour event this year, but, I definitely missed the signups for the ones I was looking at, and they're completely full. So we'll see if any of those become an option. Otherwise, my goal is to qualify for Throw Pink through Foxwood or Nationals. So hopefully that one ends up on the schedule in October. But other than that, just excited to keep going. There's so many.
From one Christie Lake Spring Fling champion to another, I'm also very excited to get back. I had to throw that in there. I had to get that off my chest. But also last year, you dipped your toe into the Pro Tour waters with the Innova Rip Q Series, and this year you'll be playing Canadian Nationals, which is also going to be a Q Series again. And you took second place at the Innova Rip tournament, which I'm sure helped a little bit with the Innova sponsorship. As well. So whether this year or in future years, do you see yourself venturing stateside at all to start playing in any more DGPT events, whether full Elite Series or any more Q Series and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's definitely the goal. I thought I was looking at Idlewild or Ledgestone. I really wanted to try one of those because they're near the border. But again, missed the sign up for those two. So debating if I'm throwing myself on the wait list for those. And then, sadly, I'm away in June. Otherwise, I would go down to the U.S. Women's Tournament. I would love to do that. That's scheduled for next year. But hopefully, Throw Pink is where it's at.
And I think so. I think last year you was it 5th place for PDGA Rookie of the Year?
Yes, I was.
So.
Yeah, based on points. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a solid showing. Do you have any goals for 2025 that you're working towards, other than, of course, winning everything?
Yes, win everything.
Solid goal.
Ambitious goal. I think just maintaining growth. I find it very fun to continue to see improvements in my game and have that growth mindset. I really want to develop my forehand to be stronger so I can use it off the tee with more confidence, gain a little bit of distance with it, and really want to work on my circle 2 putting so I can cash those circle 2 putts more often than not. I would love to continue my goal from last year, being in the lead card for every tournament, and ideally cash at all tournaments that I play. But goals are they're loose goals. I mean, I'm not holding myself tracking everything, and I mainly just want to make sure that I'm improving.
Constant improvement is always the best goal to have, in my opinion. Just be better today than you were yesterday.
Exactly.
Is always something that I like to think about. So, like me, prior to disc golf, volleyball was your sport, as you were mentioning earlier. You were on Team Canada's beach volleyball squad and played collegiately at Colorado State and USC. as I usually do, or we usually do in this, I've got sort of a bunch of questions that I'm just going to sort of throw rapid fire at you. One, what would you say is like the biggest highlight from your volleyball career? Do you still play any volleyball? And third, while obviously very different sports and mechanics, do you think being a high level player in volleyball has helped your disc golf play in any way?
Mm-hmm. Good questions. Okay.
The rapid fire. It's the Missed Mando format is just 3 questions at one time.
Well. The first one is a tough question. My favorite memory, there are too many to count. I mean, I played volleyball at a high level for almost 10 years. My favorite memories probably come from my university days. Just, it's such a fun and high intensity environment with some of your best friends by your side. At Colorado State, we had over 7,000 people attending some of our matches. So having that full stadium feel, and the air is almost thinner when you're on the court and you can't even feel your body. You're just going through the game. It's pretty awesome. And we made it to the Sweet 16 there, which was really amazing moment. And then same at USC, we made it to the NCAA championship finals. We lost to UCLA, but being in that finals was an electric feeling, and all the matches leading up to it is so high intensity. And truthfully, that's probably the biggest thing I miss playing disc golf compared to volleyball, is that high intensity, being so excited, and after every single point's this huge energy release. You don't have that so much in disc golf. I mean, you could choose to if you really wanted to, but yeah, I'm not gonna scream and cheer when my opponent misses their putt. But those are probably some of my favorite memories for sure, and I cherish them. What second question was what? I already forgot.
Just thinking about more like the mechanics. Obviously, very different sports and mechanics. But do you think being a high level volleyball athlete helps your disc golf game in any way?
Yes, for sure. I mean, the mechanics are completely different. Some people say the forehand's kind of like an arm swing because you're opening up your body to that side and using your hips to go through. I mean, same with the backhand, you're initiating from your hips. So same with an arm swing. You want to generate the body generate the power from the body, not just the arm. So maybe being able to coordinate your core and hips into your action, that could probably play into it. But in terms of the mental game, I think there are comparables. Obviously, with volleyball, you have your team to help you and get you through tough moments. Kind of like playing doubles. You can just say, like, I'm not good at putting right now. You take this one. But very comparable to serving in volleyball, I say, because serving is the one aspect where you are fully responsible for the outcome of the ball. And a lot of people do get kind of like the yips in serving, where you go back in a pressure situation and they just can't make a serve in the court. So similar to disc golf, where you're fully responsible to what happens, specifically when putting. Mainly, I guess the wind can affect things, but you are the only one that's touching the disc. You have full responsibility and control. So there is some similarities between those two actions, but otherwise very different. One's super high intensity, lots of energy, movement, explosiveness, and disc golf is very finesse and a lot of composure. Things I needed to learn.
Well, I will say that I totally agree with missing the team cheers and stuff from volleyball, and if that can come into disc golf in some sort of way, I don't know how,
Awesome.
because of course you don't want to do it for like something against your opponent, but bringing the disc golf equivalent of landing a huge block and all 6 players coming together yelling "roof." That needs to come to disc golf in some sort of way. So we'll brainstorm some more at some point and try and figure that out.
Exactly. Well, I see Ricky get really hyped after his putt sometimes. I'm like, maybe I should start doing that. The run in, screaming. But I mean, it's good in its own ways, because sometimes with volleyball, that overhypedness can get in the way of your focus, and you are reliant on these momentum shifts to carry you through a match. And whereas disc golf, if you're maintaining your composure the entire time, there are no energy shifts. You're purely focused on your performance, your mechanics. You're not reliant on how your opponent is doing. Are they sad? Are they nervous? It's just you. So there's some positives of both.
I've never
Maybe
thought
you
about
need
it
to-
that way. There's sorry, go
maybe
ahead,
you
Sean.
need to start trash talking your opponents a little bit more.
Exactly. Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I've never thought about it that way. There's obviously
next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bring all the trash talk. Yeah, I was just gonna say I've never thought about it that way. Like obviously in volleyball and in disc golf and really all sports, there's momentum. And momentum is a huge aspect, but I've never thought about it in team sports being influenced by the excitement level that you might get during a big play and that overhyping you. Then you get on the wrong side of the momentum swing and it all starts to go in the opposite direction. I've never sort of thought of it that way, but it makes a lot of sense. So when you can maintain that within yourself in a solo sport like disc golf, you definitely have a higher chance of keeping the momentum swings in your favor.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. You're not worried about how loud the other team is cheering, or if they're staring you down across the net. And I think it's challenging in its own ways. Of you have to bring your own momentum and you can control it fully. So positives and challenges.
Well, before we let you go, I know you have a time that you need to get out of here, and we've taken up a lot of your time already. We really appreciate it. But before we let you go, we need to hit you with the lightning round questions that we ask all of our new guests. Just quick answers, sort of whatever comes to your mind first. Ready to go?
All right, let's do it.
Softball question to start. What is your favorite course?
P15.
Clearly for good reason.
Good memories now.
It helps when you win there and it brings some good memories. But even as somebody that hasn't won there, I 100% agree. P15 is amazing. On the same sort of question, but on the opposite end of the spectrum, what is the hardest course you've ever played?
I think in Syracuse, for the Syracuse Open last year, Clay East was very challenging. I ended up doing well, but I can see how that course could be a menace if you were not feeling your best.
Haven't played that one before.
Great Woods.
One sport to play or watch other than disc golf or other than volleyball. What are you choosing?
Ooh.
Take the easy option right out of there.
That's probably the only sport I do watch. Is it bad to say nothing? I watched the Masters.
Nothing is a totally valid option.
I am not a sports person, to be honest. Or sports watching person, I should say. Love playing. Don't like watching.
Well, I mean, everyone's got their. Are you more of a TV show binge watcher then?
Yeah, that's my thing.
Yeah, all right. I'll throw the same question back at you, but word it a little differently. What TV show, when you're not playing disc golf, what TV show are you choosing to binge watch? Whether something new or something that you've watched like 10 times already.
Oh, well, I think I could rewatch many times as Money Heist. Love that show. Or The Office. I think I've watched it 3 times now. It's almost about that time I could watch it again. And right now we're watching Severance, which is pretty awesome.
I've been telling Sean that I need to get a Apple TV Plus subscription so that I can watch it, because I've heard nothing but good things. So just giving me little more pushes. More people in my ear telling me to watch it is just what I need, Alex. Thanks. Next one that I got for you. What song makes you instantly turn the volume up to max and sing your heart out when you're road tripping to a tournament?
Gosh, that's such a hard question. The old school hip hop R&B, like put on some Akon or like Usher, like that 2000s for me, you know?
Yep.
You-
Heck yeah.
Yes, old school from 2000s. As
We
always,
made Sean.
You know, the real
cry a
old
little.
school stuff. Yeah.
the youngins on the show, I crumble into dust again. What is your favorite place to stop for food when you're on a road trip?
Like a chain or just
Sure.
anything?
You're driving down the highway, you see the sign in the distance, you're like, yes, what sign is it?
Ooh. Okay, well, I'll do some local references for people if they go to tournaments. So if you're going to Haute Goat, you stop by, get off at Bowmanville Avenue. Gotta go to JP's Pita. They're insane pitas, like massive pitas, and he stuffs them full with delicious meat. And the guy that works there, JP, will greet you with a smile, talk to you. He offered us a drink. He sat there for 30 minutes, just hanging out. Gotta go. And let's think. If you're going up to P15, it's not really food, but snacks. You go to the Kawartha Butter Tart Factory off of Television Road. Solid.
Those are some pro tips right there. Those are amazing. I just had to check out on Google Maps where the pita
JP's Pita.
Deli.
It's hilarious. You have to go.
I'm gonna eat the hell out of that place.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make a stop up there my next time around too. So similar kind of to the TV question that we spontaneously added in here. What movie never gets old no matter how many times you watch it?
I'll go with the easy answer is a Harry Potter because I watched that more than once. I think everything else is a one and done situation.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Harry Potter. I agree with you.
Yeah.
No.
And our last lightning round question: if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Think flying. You know, that would be pretty sweet. It's like the only superpower that I dream about often is flying, so that would be pretty awesome.
I think it would be pretty cool. That freedom you'd feel just soaring through the sky. I mean, come on. It's always been a goal of mine to go skydiving. I still haven't done it, but I feel like that's the closest that I can actually get to that feeling without somehow magically growing wings on my back, which
Exactly.
the chances of that I think are fairly low, I think. I'm not the brightest guy, but I think I could bank on that one at least. Well, Alec, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It has been a pleasure to have you on. Before we let you go, do you have any shout outs that you would like to give, sponsors or anything, or any final comments from you? The floor is all yours.
I would like to thank my sponsor, Innova. I mean, I'm very grateful to be part of the team and to be able to get sponsored in something other than volleyball was such a treat and something I never really imagined would happen, but it does feel kind of like a dream come true, as cheesy as that sounds. And then I wanted to shout out the Ontario disc golf community. I think it's been such a treat to be part of it and to get to know all the different faces at tournaments. And now, after this my 4th year, I think, is feeling like when I go to a tournament, I know everyone there. And I'm really, really grateful for that. When I finished playing volleyball, I felt a little lost. That was my community. That was my life for so long. So being welcomed into a completely new community is very, very special. So shout out to everyone.
Well, as two idiots like Sean and I that have somehow managed to have 33 episodes of this thing because of the disc golf community in Ontario, I couldn't agree more with that sentiment at all. It is one heck of a community, and I know for myself, I won't speak for Sean, but I'm imagining he will say the same thing. We can't wait to continue to watch you grow and continue to excel in this sport. It is something that we are very much looking forward to see when you get down onto some Pro Tour events, as you mentioned you wanted to. So whether this year, next year, whenever it comes, best of luck with the rest of this season. And we will see you. Well, I guess I will see you at Christie Lake coming up. We got some titles to defend.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. No, thank you for joining us, Alex. And we will be right back here on Missed Mando. Thank you so much to Alex once again for joining us. Absolutely awesome interview, and can't wait to see how many more wins she can rack up in 2025. Could definitely be a big year, already having 2 under her belt. But Shawnee G, let's head on over to you for some upcoming registrations in the Ontario disc golf scene.
The registration season continues to be hot. And the next 2 weeks are no exception. So we got a new addition, the Don Valley Derby. It is a rare Toronto tournament after the Toronto Open. We've got it's a Prodigy Birdie Derby Series event that is going down at E.T. Seton on May 24th, and registration for that opens on April 24th. The CWE in Guelph is taking place at Eastview on June 21st, and registration for that one opens on May 1st. Next is the Summer Stomp by Queer Disc Golf going on down at Niagara on the Lake on their amazing little Ace Place course. That's happening on July 12th, and registration for that opens on May 1st. Then the second annual Chain Link Conservation Series tournament at Albion Hills. That's happening on July 19th. This year, it's going to be just a 1-day tournament. Last year, it was 2 days, 1 round per day. This year, 1 day, 2 rounds, and registration for that opens on May 2nd. Definitely one of the best courses in Ontario and a super, super great event. Next, one of the longest running tournaments in Canada, the Flats Classic at VA Barrie, is back for its 39th year. That is amazing. This year, it is going down on August 9th and 10th, and registration opens for that on April 25th. That will sell out fast. Also opening on April 25th is the Sandy Hollow Open in Barrie. That is going to sell out quick as well. That event takes place over August 23rd and 24th. The course is currently closed, I think, still because of the damage from the ice storm, but hopefully city crews and volunteers will be getting that place up and running again and better than ever. And then lastly, one more event. I neglected to include this in the last episode. There is going to be a Glitch World Championships qualifier happening at Christie Lake on May 31st. Registration is open for that now, and there are spots still available. I mean, I cannot wait to see what kind of scores people will be putting up playing Christie Lake with only glitches, pitches, and parachutes. That is awesome. Shooting off the hill on 6 across the valley with just a glitch. Who knows what the wind is going to do to it? It should be super, super crazy fun. And a great event to get you a spot at the Glitch World Championships, which happen at Maple Hill in September.
Yeah, that would be a really cool event to get to go to, the championships at Maple Hill for the Glitch World Championships would be fun. An event where last year Simon Lizotte, I'm pretty sure, played in it. There were some other notable pros that played in it. So super, super cool event. Get your qualifier spot. Head out to Christie Lake. Another amazing course that would be super fun to play with some glitches. Moving on to some more general disc golf news. 2026 Champions Cup, it has been announced, will be held at New London Tech in Lynchburg, Virginia. One of the courses that just hosted last year's PDGA World Championships. It is going to be a redesigned New London Tech, as I believe we talked about it on the podcast in the off season. It was announced that there would be part of the land that the course was on was being sold and developed into something else, whether homes or retail stuff. I can't exactly remember, but it has been a redesign process going on there. They actually, anybody that listens to any other disc golf podcast, I mean, why would you? Missed Mando is all you need. But on the off chance that you do, the Foundation podcast, which I'm now for some reason grip locked. I was blanking on it there. They are from the Lynchburg area, and Trevor, one of their hosts, got to go out onto the course, see sort of the redesign, and gave a pretty good breakdown of that on a recent episode of their podcast. So if you want to hear more about the redesign, there you go. Grip lock, little free plug for you. Maybe return the favor and give us a little free plug too, as if they'll see this for some reason. But yes, Champions Cup will be held there in 2026, getting back into the woods in Virginia. Any thoughts on that news, Shawnee G?
New London Tech's a great course. It'll be interesting to see what that redesign looks like and plays like, and how the pros can absolutely just shred the thing. Looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great. It's a good course to have Champions Cup at.
Yep, I agree with that 100%. Looking forward to that event coming up in 2026. Back here in 2025, though, let's move on to some tournament recaps, starting here with our local Ontario tournament recap. And we've got the second Ontario Tour event of 2025, bringing us to Enterprise, Ontario for the Stones Throw Spring Open, which saw 121 players across 17 divisions looking for a top 3 finish to book their ticket to provincials later this year in Guelph. There were no FPO competitors at this event, but an MPO. It was the local kid, Carter Yeomans, who held a 3-stroke lead over Spencer Young after round 1 with a 981 rated 1 under par round, where he actually started 5 under through the first 7 holes, but had some struggles down the stretch, but still ultimately held the round 1 lead. And then in round 2, he left the field in his dust with a scorching hot 10-13 rated -5 to take down the win by 8 strokes over Ryan McWaters in second, with Jacob Mainville and Spencer Young in a tie for third. Over in the top amateur divisions, Taylor Quigley goes wire to wire, leading by 8 after round 1 and holding it through round 2 for the 8-stroke win over Danielle McBride, with Megan Donovan rounding out the podium in third. MA1 saw a tight battle with Kyle McCutcheon holding a 2-stroke lead over Gab Plot after the first round, but in round 2, the lead swapped hands before Kyle was able to clutch up down the stretch to take a 2-stroke win over Joe Yeomans, and Gab finishing in third. Shawnee G, let's send it over to you for any of your thoughts and any ace shoutouts from this tournament.
Happy that there are ace shoutouts to give. In this case, there are 3 of them. We've got John Brinkman in MA60 nailing the ace on hole 14, 184-foot shot. Then we've got Jacob Osteroff snagging the ace on hole 1, a 230-foot shot. And lastly, Ethan Dilworth, hole 11, 170-foot shot.
I will also add that John Brinkman's ace on hole 14, that was also the pound elevated ace hole that is being done on all of the Ontario Tour Stop events. So not only got a sweet ace, but did it on the pound hole. So he's going to get a sweet new disc golf bag.
Getting pounded in the ace hole is always a good thing. And I want to give a shout out to 2 divisions that kept it real close. There were a couple divisions where It looks like they had some playoffs in the end to crown a winner. But there were two divisions where one stroke victory. First, over in MA60, John Brinkman took it down over Ray De Silva by one stroke. And then over in MA2, Adam Maria beat Matthew Ferris by one stroke. And it looks like he did it maybe on the last hole where he had an eagle on 18 and Matthew had a birdie on 18. Love to see that level of competition, and fewer divisions than I think is maybe normal where it was that close. There were some absolute blowout divisions this year at the Stones Throw, and the level of competition in Ontario just keeps getting better and better, and we love to see it.
Yeah, I just want to add on to your shout out there for John Brinkman. Not only did he pull out a close battle, he won that event by going 7 under in the last 6 holes. If I'm reading that correctly, including his ace on 14. Ray De Silva, who finished in second, was able to match him with birdies on 13, 15, 16, 17, and 18. But where the difference was hole 14, where John hit an ace and Ray got a par, and John ultimately went on to win by one stroke. So I mean, absolutely insane. 7 under in the last 6 holes with an ace to pull off a one-stroke win is absolutely bonkers. That's coming up much in the clutch, if you ask me.
Super, super, super clutch. Well done.
Moving on now to the next OCC tour stop, which went down just this past weekend, the Project 15 Open. Held, of course, at the Project 15 disc golf course, which was voted #1 course in the province last year during the course vote that we ran here on Mando. And this year, the event was split into 3 days with pros on Saturday, AMs on Sunday, age-protected divisions on Monday, and saw a total of 187 players looking to book their ticket to provincials. In FPO, Alex Poletto started the tournament on fire, taking a 4-stroke lead over Rebecca Dawn into the final round after a career-high 973 rated -7 in round 1. The final round had a roller coaster start, though. After the first 5 holes, Alex's lead was gone as Rebecca had stormed back to tie things up, but a 4-stroke swing on the next 2 holes gave Alex that 4-stroke lead right back. And after another 4-stroke swing over the next 3 holes, it was all tied up again. Things settled down after that with 4 straight pars, followed by matching birdies and eagles to stay tied with 2 holes to play. Both players took a par on the penultimate hole, but on the final hole of the tournament, Rebecca took an unfortunate bogey while Alex was able to take a par to secure the win, her second win of the season. Over in MPO, Jake Voskamp was on absolute fire to start round 1, going 6 under through the first 5 holes, 4 birdies and an eagle to start the day, and 9 under through 9 holes. He took a par in there to balance out the eagle. But then he slowed down and he rattled off 8 straight pars before adding 1 more birdie on 18 for a 1034 rated -10 to take a 1-stroke lead over Marty Hendel and Chris Brown going into the final round. Jake and Marty went back and forth to start the round before Marty tied things up on hole 7, but then Jake hit a major rut, going +4 in the last 13 holes to fall down into a tie for 6th. Also on the lead card, Chris went even par through the front 9 to fall off the pace a little bit, but -4 on the back 9 kept him in the hunt. Meanwhile, on the chase card, Calvin Rorto was charging with a bogey-free 1031 rated -7 to charge up the leaderboard. It ultimately wasn't enough to catch Marty, though, as he would go on to take a 2-stroke win, his 3rd win of the season, with Chris and Calvin tied for 2nd. In the top amateur divisions, Alyssa Saunders goes wire to wire for her second win of the season, leading by 2 strokes after the first round and ultimately winning by 3 over LA Tuck, with Taylor Quigley rounding out the podium in third. In MA1, Bennett Duncan outlasted the field in only his second ever PDGA tournament, leading by 1 stroke after the first round and holding on to take a 1-stroke win over Miles Ladder in second place and James Atkinson in third. Bennett's first tournament was second place in MA2 at the Kings Forest Open earlier this year, and follows it up in his very first MA1 tournament ever, taking down the win at Project 15. Very well done. Shawnee G, let's throw it over to you for some of your thoughts and ace shoutouts from the Project 15 Open.
There were 2 aces on Am Day. Both of them happened in MA1, and both of them happened on hole 2, a 207-foot slight little turn with a little ditch, big ditch on the left side, a little bit of a risky shot. James Atkinson and Jeremy Brister nailed it, and as I understand it, only one of them was paid into the ace pot, so only one of them got paid out. Always get the ace pot. I want to give a highlight to one of the divisions, MP40. This year, Chris Ozolins, friend of the show, is graduated to this division, and he is taking on the monster of the division, that is Scott Jameson. This has been a fight that I was excited to see unfold, and it did not disappoint. After Oz finished leading in round 1 by a single stroke on the blue layout, Scotty J stepped up and shot an insane -6 in round 2 on the gold layout, including an eagle 3 on the almost 800-foot hole 8. When it shook out, Scotty J won by a solid 6 strokes. For those that don't know Scotty J, and I assume most people who are listening to this show probably do because he's been playing since at least 2009, he played 5 events in MP40 last year. He won 3 of them and didn't finish lower than second place. Between him and friend of the shows, Justin Murphy and Oz, and all the other bombers in this division, it is going to be one to watch this year for sure. Wanted to highlight a few of the close battles that we had across the 3 days. Jeanette Irwin took down FA2 by beating Sarah Skates from White Spruce by 1 stroke. In MA1, Bennett Duncan beat friend of the show, Miles Ladder, by 1. MA40, Dennis Barnes took it from Dave Pettypace by 1. All these are by 1 strokes. I don't need to keep saying that. In MA60, Vern Lapine beat Tim McCurry. In MP50, Jeff Langs beat Adam Hazel. And in MP60, George Jensen, or Jorge, I don't know how to pronounce that. George Jensen beat Howie Meeker and Patrick Trudy by 1. There was a lot of fantastic competition out at P15, and it is such an amazing event to play, incredibly well run as always, and I think everybody had a fantastic time out there trying to chase those cool little custom made concrete trophies that Gabe made. These things easily win the prize for the heaviest trophy of the year, and the one that most doubles as a blunt force weapon.
Yeah, 100%. If you took home the trophy, I'm imagining you're not that frustrated to need to use it as a weapon afterwards. But if the instance ever arises, Gabe definitely gave you a good option with that trophy. I also wanted to sort of follow up your talk on MP40 and just what a stacked division that is in Ontario now. Justin, we, of course, have had on before. He went undefeated in MP40 last year. and now Oz joining the fold. And big shout out to two of my good buddies, Ryan McFarlane and Brady Belanger, who were able to finish in, pull it up here, I believe it was, tie for fourth. They ultimately had Double G, Greg Grutenbohr, come up from behind them on the chase card to pass them. They were both in third, but solid performance from the guys they used to be my MA1 buddies that I used to battle all the time, but now they're old and they've moved up into MP40. So good job from the MA1 fellas jumping up into the pro scene and hanging tough with the big dogs. And MP40 at Nationals, Shawnee G, I don't know if you've seen the registration. It is ridiculous. It is absolutely stacked. Marty Hendel, Chris O'Zolins, Philo Brathwaite, Stuart McKissick, all over 1,000 rated in the MP40 division. And then you got guys like Justin Murphy and Scotty J, I'm assuming, is going to be in that as well. I can't remember if I saw his name last time I looked, but I assume it is just absolutely loaded. And that will be a very fun division to watch when Nationals is coming along. Shawnee G, it looks like there was something else you wanted to mention here before we move off onto some Pro Tour talk.
Just wanted to mention that this coming weekend is the Muskoka Open at Wolf Tracks, and great course, great tournament. Not a super full field, only like 2 players, for example, in FPO. Friends of the show, Alex Poletto and Alicia Hums, are going to be competing in that division. Absolutely love Wolf Tracks, and it's going to be fun to see who can take down this next OCC qualifying event.
Johnny G, now that you mention it, let's do a little quick picks, you and me here. I guess it doesn't really well, I guess we can whoever gets first pick in FPO kind of solidifies who the other person gets, as there are only two players in that field. But on the MPO side, there are a little more. So I'll go first on MPO. You can go first on FPO. And I am going to take this is entirely at Wolf Tracks. The last time that we had this player on, he talked about how much he loved Wolf Tracks, and he absolutely shredded on this course at Provincials last year. I'm going to go with the chalk, and I'm going to take the highest rated player in the field, Thomas Gilbert.
I mean, it's Thomas Gilbert.
Yeah.
Always a good pick at Wolf Tracks.
Not coming off of his best performance at Project15. No. He definitely did not play up to his standards there. So not sure if he's, working on something in his game, but Thomas at Wolf Tracks, the last few times he's been there, he's shredded. I expect him to bounce back with a good performance.
Thomas is back up in Sudbury at school, and it's not been a gentle winter or an easy spring to get out throwing. So I imagine there's a little bit of rust on that arm that he is now fully shaken off. And so I think that's a solid pick at Wolf Tracks. I'm going to go friend of the show, Chris Zollins. And I like the T Gill versus Oz battle that is going to come down. Over in FPO, speaking of Sudbury, I will take Alicia Hums to take it down.
Nice pick. That leaves me with newest friend of the pod, Alex Poletto, as my pick, and I got nothing against that whatsoever.
What a battle that is going to be.
Absolutely. I will definitely be keeping my eyes on the live score a little bit harder now that we've made some picks, and I always got to make sure that I beat Sean in our picks segment here on Missed Mando. Well, speaking of picks, how about we move on now to some Pro Tour talk and a little bit of a recap from the 43rd Kansas City Wide Open, the 5th stop on the 2025 DGPT schedule. Takes us to Bad Rock, Creek Disc Golf Course in Kansas City for the, like I mentioned, 43rd annual Kansas City Wide Open. In FPO, Holland Hanley goes wire to wire for her second win of the season, leading by 3 strokes after round 1, 4 after round 2, and grew her lead to 6 in the final round before being able to just kind of coast down the stretch and win by 2 strokes over friend of the pod, Cadence Burge, who shot a career high 1024 rated final round to get the best Elite Series finish of her career. Holland's 1018 event average smashes her previous high of 1008, and in 5 DGPT events this season, she's yet to finish lower than third. She's gone, I believe it's second, first, second, third, first, I believe is what it is in 5 events. Pretty solid start to the season for Holland. The MPO division saw even more dominance as Gannon Burr opened the tournament with a 1095 rated minus 14 to take a 6-stroke lead and grew that lead to 7 going into the final round. To make matters worse for the field, the final round was shortened to 9 holes due to weather on the final day, leaving even less time to catch up. Gannon did make things interesting by going 3 over par through the first 3 holes, but was able to lock it in for the last 6 holes and would take the win by 4 strokes over Ricky Wysocki, with Paul Macbeth rounding out the podium in third. Shawnee G, let's throw it over to you. Let's hear some of your thoughts from the 43rd annual Kansas City Wide Open.
Even without the Europeans here, this was probably the most exciting, boring tournament that I have watched. I mean, the tournament was over after round 1, and it wasn't really, in jeopardy or at risk of it not going to Holland and to Gannon. But this was still a lot of fun to watch, and I think it comes down to how great a course Bad Rock is. Like, I can't even imagine ever going back to Champions for DDO when this is an option a couple hours away. This course is absolutely fantastic with the elevation, with the trees. The whole one is so good. In practice, Calvin Longquist aced it, which was super cool. Casey White had the amazing big throw-in, so they started calling it the Casey White Open. Like this, I think this is among the best, certainly among the best Midwest courses, up there with Northwood and Idlewild. And I hope it really stays on tour for the foreseeable future. It's great to have it back. I like that they sort of, did the silver, in the Q series, just to get them back up to speed to tour standards. They put in a lot of effort, a lot of money into the course. They had it looking fantastic, and it really, really showed. What can you say about Gannon's round? That it didn't actually hit 1100 seems like a shame. Like, it is absolutely the round of the tournament, of the season so far. One of the best rounds that we've seen from him in quite a long time. Absolutely fantastic performance, total clinic. Cadence, gets the missed Mando bump. Love that. She now has the highest rated second place tournament average of all time with her 1014. Silva, she had the highest rated second place round for a week, something like that, 2 weeks before she went back to Europe, and Cadence stepped up and said, no, I'd like that, thank you. And Cadence skipped her senior prom to be here at the event, and seems worth it. Right call. Taking home the biggest paycheck of her career so far by double, something like that. Amazing performance. I think that, if she can get a moderately decent sort of Missy Gannon level forehand, as one of the tools under her belt, which she doesn't really have right now, she will absolutely shred.
The forehand is the big thing missing from her game. If she can add that, she will be a force to be reckoned with in the FPO division. Also, Cadence was just the other day on the Upshot podcast and mentioned that Silva's second place tournament average was actually higher than hers by a point, because Charlie had brought it up saying the exact same stat that you did, but then Cadence corrected him. So I don't know who's right, but from the words of Cadence, Silva had her beat in that stat. But regardless, one of the two highest rated second place finishes of all time. Absolutely crazy, and just good to see a new friend of the show out there kicking butt on the pro tour and really making a name for herself. I'd say she definitely made the right decision skipping her senior prom.
You know, you are correct. I just been back and checking, and Silva's loss was a 10-18. So
Sheesh.
yeah. Nope, my mistake. The editorial board.
Somebody put that
Mando
info out there, because Charlie
regrets
Eisenhood said the same thing on the Upshot, and he's a DGN commentator who's more in the know about this stuff than even we are, and he made that mistake. So, it happens to the best of us, Shawnee G.
And I am not the best of us. Speaking of not the best of us, let's go on to our picks from
best of us,
the
me.
KCWO. So we'll get to you. First, let's go with Galen's picks. He went to, let me check my notes here. He went with Dick Parker in MPO, who finished 104th, dead last, and Ava Meyer, who, let's see here, she finished 41st, which, well done, second last. So let's see, there's 104 and 41. Galen's average was 72.5. Not a great showing by Galen, unfortunately, but bold picks. I respect it. I picked Ezra Robinson, who had his worst event of the season, I believe, so far at 24th, and Missy Gannon at 4th place. She did all right. So my average was 14. And that's it. There's no other notable picks to discuss. We can just move on, right? I think.
Yeah, totally. No, not at all, because I'm going to gloat, and I picked Gannon Burr and Holland Hanley, who both won this event. I got the perfect picks this week. I did this like 3 or 4 times last year, so I think it's only the start of my streak. But
back.
1 + 1 divided by 2, that's an average of 1, baby. And I'm going to keep that mojo.
Work.
Chalk picks do work. We'll see what happens when we make our Champions Cup picks coming up here soon. But also a little side note, I did get word from Mr. Galen Naidu-Harris himself. He picked first this week, so we had some players that we weren't able to pick from. Sorry, I was getting ahead of myself with Champions Cup. Last week, he also did pick not first, but he did make his own picks. And his actual picks were Ricky Wysocki and Owen Scoggins, who finished 2nd and 5th, respectively, for an average of 3.5. So still losing to me, which, that's just how it is in our picks segment. But Shawnee G, I alluded to it a little bit. So let's jump now into Champions Cup and President's Cup, and let's get into a little bit of a preview.
Not this weekend, but next weekend. The tour is going back to Cali. We are going to Swenson Park in Stockton, California. This is, of course, the wooded major. So we're playing the not wooded course. Basically taking a break because of the ICDC devastation. And it's going on tour.
IDGC.
First stop. IDGC, that's it. One of those letters of I's and D's and G's and C's.
ICDC, like it's an Aussie rock band.
Let's go. So this event replaces the OTB Open, run by, of course, the legendary TDs, the Shawns, the best names in disc golf. Last year's winners of the OTB Open were Calvin and Ella Hansen. This has been an event that, or a course that Paige Pierce absolutely shreds. She won the previous 3 years in a row, basically ever since it went to Swenson Park. There's been 2 winners, Paige 3 of them, and Ella 1. And then in MPO, the winners were Emerson Keith. That was a surprise win. Simon Lizotte and Eagle McMahon. I don't know. This is going to be a fun event. I like the course. I like that it's a major. It's going to, I think, really bring out some fantastic competition. And then the side event, I guess you could call it, is the President's Cup, which is, for those who don't know, USA versus Europe, where you have captain for the Team USA, Avery Jenkins, and Team Europe, UC Maresma. They've put together their teams. On Team USA, you've got Owen Scoggins and Holland Handley for FPO. You got Gannon Burr, Ricky Wysocki, Calvin Heimberg, Isaac Robinson. Anthony Barella came in on the fan vote, and Paul Macbeth came in on captain's choice. On Team Europe, in no way surprising, Kristen Latt and Evelina Salonen for FPO. And then you've got Nicholas Antala, Simon Lizotte, Vino Makala, Jakub Semerad, Albert Tom for the fan vote, and Una Heinonen for the captain's choice. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that Team USA is the heavy favorite at the President's Cup this year. I believe they've won every single year since they've been doing this thing. And, you know, I think so long as FPO is only allowed 2 slots, I think, you know, the FPO and Team Europe are going to be a bit outgunned because, you know, FPO is where Europe really, really shines. I don't know. What do you think about Champions Cup and President's Cup, Robbie?
Love it. I love the format. Always fun and interesting, and it's gotten closer over the years. Especially, I mean, now I would say if you were to put together if you were to add more FPO into the teams, and it was a 5 FPO team versus 5 FPO team from both, my money might even be on Europe at this point. More than likely, with the heavy hitters that they have at the top, especially with Kristen Latt being as good as she is. But yeah, with only 2 FPO players, that definitely hinders Europe a little bit. The MPO side is not nearly as strong as the US has, but will be fun nonetheless. And it's cool to see it now moving to a new course for the first time ever, because it's usually held right before the European Open in Finland at the Beast in Nokia, and now it is being moved, and I believe will now continually move and rotate between the US and Europe every year, which is even better. So I believe this will be the first one that's held on US soil, which is really cool. So we'll see how rowdy the US fans will be out in support of their team out there. But yeah, I'll be watching. I'm excited. All right. Should we do no, let's move on to Champions Cup and our picks if we're at that point.
We are. Let's do it.
All right. Well, do you want to give your ceremonial picks to Galen as he picks number 1 this week?
Galen, as always, picks bold choices, and I love that for him. He is going in FPO with 894 rated Angelica Sanchez. I love that pick for him. She is, I mean, yes, she is the lowest rated, and you know, but you know, she's won 19 of the 39 events that she's played in, so I think she's solid choice. California player, you know, maybe she's got that local knowledge. I think it's a bold choice by him. Over in MPO, Galen went with worst caddy for Silva Saarinen, Mr. Joey Tamale at 1,001 rated. Silva really needs to not have him on her bag, especially on final days. He is the silver lat to Kristen on the bag and just makes her play worse. But Galen thinks, I'm fairly certain that he's going to win this one, and that is his totally legit and real pick. I assure you. Ignore what Robbie's about to say.
Totally real picks there for Galen. It is pretty cool to see that the lowest rated player in the field is over 1,000 rated. Obviously, this is a major, so you're getting a much deeper field. You don't usually see that at all the Pro Tour stops, so that's pretty cool. An extremely, extremely deep field. But Galen will be picking first, as I mentioned, and he actually did send in some real picks to us, and he's going with complete shock. He is taking Kristen Latt and Gannon Burr, which is fine because, and I'll do a quick little reminder for our listeners at the start of this season. We did some predictions for Player of the Year and major winners, and Galen went with. Is this right? Yeah, because we were able to pick the same players as each other, right? So Galen went with Calvin and Kat Murch to win Champions Cup. He maybe not expecting to pick first when we did our picks, and now is able to just take the chalk picks. This is also the start of the year, so we were looking ahead. Shawnee G had Gannon Burr and Paige Pierce, and I am going to actually stick with my original preseason picks for this event, and I am picking Calvin Heimberg to win his very first PDGA major and Holland Hanley to win her first PDGA major. Going with the two first-time winners for this one. What are you going, Shawnee G? Both of your players... Oh, no, sorry. Galen took Gannon. But what your FPO pick is still there if you want to double down.
I like it. I don't even know. Who did I pick in the preseason? I don't remember.
Paige. You picked Gannon Burr and Paige Pierce. We also did it where we couldn't repeat players. So once you pick one for one, so there's kind of a little bit of strategy on who we were picking. That's probably why Galen had Kat Murch there and not just Kristen Tatar across all 5 majors.
Well, I would like to stay with Paige Pierce as a 3-time. But yeah, I hear that. Well, I'd like to stick with
Tatar, and I got to correct myself right away.
Respect. I would like to stick with Paige Pierce as a past 3-time winner. However, she has not finished within the top 10 this year. And so I'm going to have to pull an audible and ripcord and get out of that pick, unfortunately. I'm going to go with Silva Saarinen. I want her to get her revenge and come back and absolutely shred. Over in MPO, let's go with you're going with Vinny. Gannon's off the board. Let's go with Ricky taking down another major that is not a world championship. Why so?
Ricky ending his major drought, because I don't think he's won any major since he won 2017 Worlds, I believe.
Yeah. Let's go ending his drought this year.
I do think he's going to end his drought this year, but I think he's going to win the world championship, is what I think. Although his play so far this year has been very up and down. So we'll see how I feel as that gets closer to that event, but he played great over in Europe last year. I am honestly hoping that we just get an insane throwback Paul versus Ricky battle at Worlds this year. Both of them love being over in Europe and play well over there. The fans love them over there. So that would be electric.
It was really fun watching the match play Ricky versus Paul tournament. And it was surprising that Paul seemed to forget how to putt by Paul standards. Certainly, like Circle 2, he was nowhere to be found. And I hopefully he can bring that McBeast mode back, at least in the majors, so we can have a really, really solid battle again.
Yeah, the big thing that I've noticed in Paul, and he's had a solid start to the season, like a really good start to the season, especially for for how he performed last year. Although he did finish like 6th on the Pro Tour standings, so still had a great season last year. But this year he has been really good. I do think he's going to get a win at some point. But the thing that has really been lacking is, like you said, that McBeast sort of presence, where back in his like dominant run, if he was within 4 strokes of you in the final round, that leader was terrified, thinking Macbeth is going to chase me down and do what he does. Any sort of putt that he needed in the clutch, whether it be as far out as 70 feet, he was going to nail that thing. It was just guaranteed almost. And that putt has definitely been, it hasn't been there this year. He hasn't been able to quite clutch up. So we'll see when it happens. I definitely believe it will happen at some point, and maybe at Worlds over in Europe. That would be pretty rad. Shawnee G, any final thoughts from you here on this episode before we wrap things up?
Just wanted to give a shout out and a little mailbag. Picked up finally, friend of the show, Sevilla Dunica, Eagle L glow disc. This thing is fantastic. I cannot wait to get this thing out in the field. And a disc that I have absolutely no business throwing, but come on, this is one of the prettiest discs around. The Chantel Badinsky Prodigy D2 Air Beefcake, but 158 grams. I don't know what's going to happen when this thing throws, but I know it is not going to turn over on me. Looking forward to testing out both of those amazing discs from our friends. But that is it for me.
And if that's it for you, that's it for us. That is it for us here on Missed Mando. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you so much once again to Alex Poletto for coming on and joining us for an interview. Very much looking forward to seeing how many more wins she can rack up this season. But that's going to do it for us. For Sean Galbraith, I'm Robbie Holden. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Missed Mando, and we'll see you out on the course.